There are indeed a lot of things that could happen for Trevor Lawrence as he takes a look at the 2020 standings and he sees New York Jets, New York Giants, and other bad and dysfunctional teams. But that's how it always is. Unless there's a trade, the team that's at the top of the stack is at the top of the stack for a reason. Do we read anything into this? Is he maybe suggesting that he would play college football one more year to try to avoid this morass of bad teams that would be vying for his services, Chris?
I don't. I mean, and again, I that was the first time I saw the clip. You know, reading is a little different. But even reading it, I felt like, no, it's a guy that's just trying to not make any headlines. Hey, it's football. I'm worried about my team right now. Kind of one of those type of things. I'll evaluate that as we go forward. Again, hey, when you're that guy, yeah, there's never going to be a beautiful team on the horizon. Never. But, I always look at it this way. First off, playing in New York is pretty damn special. I can speak to that as experience. They treat my dad like he's a damn god up here. And he was good, but he ain't God, all right? I know that. And, so that is something special. And the other thing I'll say, too, I think, as a competitor and as a player, there would be a yearning to go to a place sometimes that hasn't been great, where you can go there and now set forth the new winning culture, and you do become a legend in that town. Hey, I look at Joe Burrow. He's got a chance to do that. Baker in Cleveland. It looked like he brought that on. Hey, who cares? We were 0-16, whatever. We're going to be better now that I'm here. There's something about that. Hey, Brady in New England. That was never like a great place, but him, Belichick, go there. You get something going. All of a sudden, it's the greatest place in the world. So, you just can't tell what the future holds. Who knows who they hire as a head coach at the end of the year, the New York Jets and all those things. I would expect them to come out. I think you're rolling the dice a lot more if you stay in and maybe get hurt, and who the hell knows what happens after that.
I look at it this way. If he is having misgivings about any of these teams, I would much rather see him make a power play than go back and play football for another year at Clemson.
Sure,
Whatever
too.
he does next year,
right.
He should not play at Clemson. Sorry, Clemson fans, but that's not, under any set of circumstances, what he should do. What he should do is make it known that he reserves the right to sit out the whole year and re-enter the draft in 2022 if he doesn't like who's picked him and if the team that picks him refuses to trade him. He can sit out the whole year. He can re-enter the draft. Now, the problem is there's no guarantee there isn't going to be a bad team that takes you next year. But once you've shown that you're willing to sit out the whole year, maybe teams take you a little more seriously. And that's how you leverage a trade to a team that you want to play for. Because, look, even if you say, I don't want to play for the Jets, and the Jets say, too bad, we're drafting you. Well, I don't want to play for you. I got no other choice, so I'll sign the contract and I'll come play. But, I don't want to. I don't want to be there. I'm not going to do all the stuff that you want me to do. I'm not going to show up early. I'm not going to stay late. I mean, that's the thing. There's a pride that goes into it. There is a way to posture it so they wouldn't want you.
Yeah, sure.
But I think
right.
the competitiveness eventually is going to take over, and you're going to resign yourself to your fate, and you're going to go try to make chicken salad.
Exactly
it.
But
still,
yeah.
I wish more guys who have real leverage. And Joe Burrow flirted with it last year, and I know this makes Bengals fans mad, but I'm telling you, he flirted with the idea of making a power play to not play for the Bengals. And you could look at what's going on now and say he deserves better. Maybe he should have, because he's got it. And there ain't many other guys on the roster other than Joe Mixon that do.
No, they don't. They got some receivers around him. We're seeing them put up some numbers. So they're building something there. Yes, where they've done him a disservice, and where I would be concerned if I was Mike Brown or anything, I'd be calling the offensive coaching staff in and going, I just picked the guy number 1, and he might be dead by week 17. You guys are getting him freaking killed. That would be my biggest concern. And that's always a concern for a young quarterback going to a bad team and doing all that. So that's where they need to fix Joe Burrow because, hey, yeah, he's great. You got your guy. Let's not make sure his career is ruined by getting killed so early on in his career that it doesn't last as long as it should or he gets some crazy injury. So we'll see where it goes. Trevor Lawrence is special. We know that. I would say, hey, everybody's amazed with what you've seen from Justin Herbert so far, right? Trevor Lawrence is Justin Herbert, but probably another notch above as far as talent is concerned. That's the type of player we're talking about. It can be 50 and 60-yard lasers through the air like we see Justin Herbert, and you just go, whoa. It looked like he was throwing a 5-yard out, and he just threw that 60 yards with that like nothing. Or it could be like we saw against Ohio State, him running for 55-yard touchdowns with Okudah and all these other NFL players on the field, and they can't catch him. So he's a very, very special talent, let alone he's played a lot of football and a lot of big games. And they put the pressure on him to just make plays. It's not necessarily like a surgical offense where it's just like, oh, the system's great and boom, 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 boom. No, they're a little basic, and they just go, our players are better than you, and he'll throw strikes, and that receiver will get open, and we just play that way. And there's room to grow with this kid, too. That's where he's really a special specimen, I guess.
And I think part of the concern is guys don't want to pass on the opportunity to be the first overall pick because by next year, who knows? And who knows if the system retaliates against you come next year. If you're the guy who stands up and pokes the bear and says, I'm not signing your contract, I'm not playing your game, I'm not letting you pick me, I'm picking you, and I'll sit out a full year if I have to prove my point, maybe he's not the first overall pick the next year. And, this is part of the system. And you know how I feel about the system.
I know.
I don't think it's an honor. I don't think it's a good thing. I think the best thing is letting these young men decide where they want to play, especially at the quarterback position. Because where you are drafted and where you spend those first few years of your career, who you're learning from, who your teammates are, what your circumstances are you being protected by the offensive line? Those are all factors in whether or not you're going to become as good as you can be.
Definitely.
And I think some guys get ruined who otherwise would have been great. They get ruined. And we know now, because we see so many guys who come in and they're great right out of the gates, the grace period is smaller and smaller and smaller.
Right.
And you're out. You're done.
Yeah.
You're not even a backup before you get a chance to prove that you can play.
No, you're Mike, you're right. And hey, with the rookie salary cap on the contracts that way, and the fact that good quarterbacks are coming out every year, I do think you're going to see teams go like, oh, it's been 2 or 3 years. This guy's not the next guy. We might draft him, or there's another free agent quarterback out there or whatever. Hey, we're in the era of, yes, players are going to make their own luck a little bit. They have to. We hold them to a standard, no matter even if the team is crappy around them. We don't want to hear it. It's LeBron James, right? Why should he stay on this crappy Cavaliers team? And Magic Johnson got lucky enough to get drafted by a team that had Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Michael Cooper, Byron Scott, James Worthy. He just got lucky he got drafted by them. So, yeah, athletes are going to continue to make more moves to help them out that way. It's not in the football player or the quarterback's DNA normally. It's not. They usually want to go take the challenge on. I'm going to build something. I'm really good. I think we can be special that way, right? But we have seen Elway, Manning, a few have played that, and I don't know if that's in Trevor Lawrence or not.
Yeah, and it's amazing it's happened so infrequently. And for both guys who did it, it did work out. They got to where they wanted to be. And with Eli Manning, you've heard this story as well, Chris. Number one, Archie ran interference for Eli. It was Eli that didn't be there. It wasn't Dad getting involved and being a helicopter parent and saying, I don't want you to be in San Diego. But when Eli visited, he got mixed signals as to whether or not they really wanted him.
Right.
GM A.J. Smith wanted him. Marty Schottenheimer got the sense he didn't. Those two were at odds all the time. He didn't want to be part of that dysfunction.
Right.
So you can't blame him for that. And they have Drew Brees. What the hell? So
I also wondered always if the
worked.
fact that maybe the Chargers, did they like Ryan Leaf more than a Peyton Manning back in the day too? I always wondered if that played into them not liking the Chargers either. I don't know that. I'm just throwing that out there.
Yeah, and isn't it amazing how close that was
right?
in 1998 between the two? And that just shows you how imperfect it is. But when you are the clear-cut guy, when you are the one, you got a lot more leverage. And Joe Burrow used that word at one point back in January. You do have leverage. Why not use it? And maybe we're getting close to the point where a player will use it. And look, I promise any player out there now or in the future, that chooses to push back against that notion that you must go along with this draft process, you must go to whoever picks you as the first overall pick in the draft, you've got leverage, use it, and I'll support you 100%. Of course, it's your money that's on the line, not mine. But still, I hope that Trevor Lawrence hires an agent who can help him craft a plan that will let him go to where he wants to be, not to go to the team that just says, hey, we have Trevor, and now, let's see what we can do, and let's hope that it works out.
He will be the most sought-after number one pick in a while, and I don't say that lightly, but just with the way the season's shaking out and how good he is and the team he's been on and everything like that, I mean, I think we're going to have a war for this kid at number one.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.